So in today's podcast, we invited an associate professor at Nazarbayev University in Political Science and International Relations Department, Dr. Jean-François Caron. We're glad to see you here, and his research focuses on various issues, on contemporary war ethics, on political stability in multinational states, and the redefinition of national identities. So today, with you, we would like to discuss the popularity of artificial intelligence and particularly ChatGPT. And it reached 100 million users only in 2 months. So it can generate responses, it can write essays, it can even write you the software program. So the first question to ask is, how do you think this application ChatGPT will affect the daily lives of people at studies and at the work?
Well, it will affect students a lot, universities, that's obvious, but it's part of a bigger process of development of technologies with artificial intelligence that will ultimately, in the very near future, change our lives. So I'm quite curious because you've said 100 million users. I'm not among them. I've never tried it, so I'm really curious to see the sorts of answers I'm going to have to my questions. I'm a little bit skeptical. I think that ChatGPT is only able to provide descriptive summaries, and just similarly to all types of artificial intelligence, it's not intelligent as human beings. It doesn't have emotions, it doesn't have a sense of morality. So I'm pretty sure if you're asking ChatGPT, what is the meaning of life, for instance, you will not get anything valuable from the software. I think this is something technologies will never be able to match human beings. This will always make us unique in comparison to these contemporary evolving forms of technologies. They will never have a sense of morality, a sense of ethics, unlike us. So I think in the near future it will facilitate our lives. Artificial intelligence, these sorts of technologies will facilitate our lives. So it will force us to shift our focus, our definition of what makes us unique, our humanity, to something that these machines, these systems are unable to perform.
Actually, regarding your question about the meaning of life, we can ask this question later to ChatGPT. Yeah. But I also was wondering about some controversies about ChatGPT regarding its security and safety, and what do you think about its potential dangers to the people?
Well, I think so. Artificial intelligence, we tend to believe that they are objective. They're not, unlike human beings who can have biases. So it's true, the computer system cannot be biased. They don't have this capacity, this sense of morality or this sense of lack of morality. This means being able to discriminate on purpose against some people. But what people tend to forget is that behind every algorithm, there are humans. And they are the ones who are telling the algorithm what to think in a certain way, how to act, and what sort of information these systems should provide us. And there are many examples that have come out with ChatGPT. So earlier this morning, someone asked ChatGPT on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like the highest on the scale, how controversial is Elon Musk? And ChatGPT said 9 out of 10. So it's very controversial. Then the same person asked, so how controversial was Che Guevara, who killed thousands of people without discrimination during the Cuban Revolution? ChatGPT said 7 out of 10. So we have to be, so there's something behind the algorithm that makes the system more critical, amazingly more critical against Elon Musk than a mass murderer like Che Guevara. So if people are just taking for granted the kind of information these algorithms are giving to us, people will come to stupid conclusions regarding what people have done. So I think this is a big risk. And again, some people have already highlighted the fact that It's not gender neutral. There is form of discrimination in the types of answers that you're receiving from the software. So people need to be it's called artificial intelligence, but it's not because there's the word intelligence that the system is actually intelligent. So we have to take what the system is giving us with a big grain of salt.
Okay. Thank you for this answer. Now, I would like to ask you some questions about the impact of artificial intelligence, of these chatbots, potentially on the way the political campaigns are run. Maybe it could help the politicians to run better campaigns and prepare better. So what do you think about it?
So it's already the case. It started with Obama's presidential campaign, and then Trump's presidential campaign did the same thing. They were able to get their hands on millions and millions of data of people, especially coming from Facebook. So whenever people are clicking like or hiding someone's account, you're sending information to the system. So you're feeding the beast. And at some point, only after something like 50 clicks or 100 clicks, the Facebook algorithm actually knows you more than some of your closest friends. So electoral campaigns like Obama and Trump, they were able to buy this information from Facebook, and then they were able to identify precisely what were the tastes of the typical American voter. And then by knowing who was more Republican, more Democrat, or in between, they were able to target their political ad specifically to Democrats, Republicans, and people who were still undecided. So it really helped them to target the right voter. Because if you are running a campaign, if you're running a company, you're going to spend millions of dollars on publicity. You're going to run ads, and you want the ads, the publicity, to target the right people. If it's not the case, you're just wasting your money. So it's a gold mine. If you have access to what people think through the use of their data, you can specifically target them with what they will want to see. And everybody has seen that on Facebook, on Twitter. The more you're feeding the beast, clicking on like and hiding people and becoming friends with some people, and it's also connected with your history search on Google, you see targeted ads. And everything you see, the ads you see on Facebook, it's always interesting for you. And there's a reason behind that is because the algorithm has been able to target specifically what are your tastes. So political campaigns, it's like, we're saying selling a politician is like selling a product. So it's the same logic. You want the ad, the publicity, to target the right people. It has been done, and it is currently being done, and it will be done again in the future. So it plays a tremendous role in the electoral campaign.
It reminds me like the marketing campaign when when these voters, with the help of artificial intelligence, again with the ad, to create this perfect picture of this voter to be targeted on. Also, what do you think about the predictions of elections thanks to the artificial intelligence?
I don't know. Again, with the help of data, if people are on Twitter, Facebook, or any other social media platforms are openly telling what are their political tastes, then if you can use that data, it could be easier to predict how people will actually vote. But it implies that these people who are saying, I'm going to vote Republican or Democrat, are actually voting. So it's one thing to just say, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat. It's another thing to go out and vote. So it will always remain kind of imperfect, just like any polls run by any surveys run by companies. So it's hard to tell. At the end of the day, always depends if people are voting or not, and the type of electoral system that you have as well. So you can win, depending on the type of electoral system, you can win an election even if you have less votes than your opponent. So it has always been tricky to predict the outcome of an election. I don't think it's going to become necessarily more easier with AI to do so. There's just too many factors involved.
What about the artificial intelligence impact on the ease of the propaganda and misinformation on people?
It's the lot of social media platform, not necessarily AI. If there's no control over what people are saying on Twitter, on Facebook, yes, you can feed misinformation, and people can end up believing in these fake news, these stories. But again, do you want the state to be able to determine what can be said and what cannot be said on social media platform? This is a much broader philosophical question, because it implies a form of censorship. And for any kind of censorship, you always need someone to decide what are the opinions that should be censored and what are the opinions that should be tolerated. So I think with time, people will become more accustomed with what they'll be more careful with what they're reading, seeing on social media platform. They will de facto always be more critical, more skeptical. And if they read something quite weird, a news that is a little bit weird, hopefully now this is a reflex people have, that they're doing their own research just to figure out, is it possible? They're always probably asking themselves that question, what if this is not true? And they're going through different sources to try to confirm or infirm this information. So I think we're moving slowly but surely towards that direction. People are more skeptical about what they're reading online. So this logic, I think, will simply evolve even more in the upcoming future.
And also, I wanted to ask about the artificial intelligence again, about whether it is possible to create new political ideologies with this, with the impact of artificial intelligence.
Well, technically, with the data, if you know what people think, what people like, you could develop a political program that will target what the average voter wants or like. But can it lead to the development of an ideology? Because in ideology, it's more than just targeting what people want and avoid targeting what people don't like. It's way more complex than that. I mean, Marxism is very complex, liberalism is very complex, fascism was also very complex, so it requires a little bit more than just having access to data. Yeah, I'm more skeptical about this possibility.
Okay, and regarding the public opinion, again, you stated about the manipulation of public opinion and whether it would help to be more politically active.
Artificial intelligence with the help of data, people being more active. I don't know, it's a good question. Maybe it leads people to be less active because they see more contradicting ideas, and maybe it's more difficult for some people to make up their mind about a topic A or B or C. It's hard to tell. But this is my personal kind of prediction. The thing with artificial intelligence technologies, they will lead to job automation. There are many jobs that will simply disappear because these jobs will be replaced by computer systems. So translator, for instance, 10 years ago, like if you're using Google Translate 10 years ago, the translation was awful. You're using it today and it's pretty good. So you can only expect in 5 years from now what kind of outcome you will have. So the job of translator is probably destined to simply disappear because of job automation. So it was estimated by some companies a few years ago that up to 40, maybe up to 50% of jobs in the United States would be replaced by machines. So if people are losing their jobs because of these technologies, this will open up for half of the population new possibilities, new activities. So people will not be able to work anymore. Maybe, just maybe, they will tend to become more actively involved in politics and the civil sphere way more than they are involved right now. So of course it will require some financial support from the state, some sort of universal income to be able to allow them to survive. But so when you have a look at technologies, artificial intelligence, there are two ways to see things. You can see the glass of water as being half empty or as half full. I tend to see it as being half full. I see possibilities. that we could actually, mankind could actually benefit from the development of these technologies. But that will force us to rethink our conception of life, what it means to be human. Nowadays, it's kind of connected almost exclusively for a lot of people with their jobs. Their job is what gives them a personal identity, the capacity to be recognized, gives them the money also to survive and be able to afford the things that makes them happy. So eventually we will have to get out of this work paradigm and start considering our life upon completely different foundations. So one thing's for sure, I think we will definitely have more time at our disposal with the development of these technologies. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just meant to become even more developed, not in 100 years from now, but in only 10 or 15 years. So we will all be affected by this technological change, which is called the fourth industrial revolution, which will definitely transform our societies. So maybe this will be an opportunity for people to reshift their energy, their attention, less around their private sphere, their job, and more around the others, the society, and the political sphere. So this could only be good when you think about it.
Well, now you mentioned about the political sphere, and I wanted to ask about the influence of artificial intelligence on the balance of power between the governments and the government branches, whether it can give a greater advantage of one state compared to another.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of development, states that will have access to more data will inevitably be able to make more fundamental changes to their economy. I don't know, but some countries are less developed than really advanced industrial societies. They're not there yet, so the risk of job automation is not as strong as it is in the United States or Western Europe, for instance. So Kazakhstan, for instance, I had a discussion with someone about this topic, and the potential of seeing millions of people losing their job is not too significant at the moment for Kazakhstan, just because in terms of development, Kazakhstan is not at the stage the United States has reached. So this will be a challenge for countries like Kazakhstan to take maybe to leapfrog in terms of development, to see what is actually going on, happening in the rest of the world in advanced societies, and maybe make right now the proper adjustment to their economy without having to face the problems associated with job automation. It's an open field. It's very difficult to answer that question. It's not the role of political scientists to predict the future. So it's always a tricky game to predict how societies will look like in 50 years from now. But there's definitely opportunities for countries that are less developed than advanced societies like Japan or the United States or Western Europe.
Also, when you mentioned about the potential dangers regarding the loss of the jobs, the higher unemployment, however, it also could lead to the better opportunities. But do you think that this could be regulated? The artificial intelligence, it could be regulated to prevent some unethical issues within the society?
Yes, it will have. Yeah, yes, of course. We will need some states' regulations to prevent. Not to prevent, but to make sure before a certain technology is being used that it's really actually it's been really fully tested. So if we think about automated cars without drivers, so it's one thing to predict that this will happen, but states obviously they have an obligation to make sure that before this technology is legalized, it can be used, that it doesn't run against the safety of people. It's been truly tested, so this will in this case this will require stricter regulations on the part of the state. And as we see now, bodies that are meant to authorize the use of certain technologies, they tend to rely way too much on the data provided by the companies themselves. So this is a problem. We've seen it with Boeing when they developed their Supermax plane. The federal agency in the United States simply relied on what the data Boeing provided to them. They did not do their own independent testing. So probably societies will have to think about creating bodies and hiring people whose job will be to independently test the technologies being developed by Tesla or Boeing or any other companies. So definitely, states will have to think about this. Yeah.
So thank you about your opinion regarding the artificial intelligence and ChatGPT. So now we can switch to the second part. You can ask some questions to
use it,
to ChatGPT if you want. Maybe you have some own questions. So let's move to the second part of our podcast. In the second part, you can ask some questions to ChatGPT and it could answer you some responses. So let me test it first.
Okay.
You can ask whatever you want.
Anything I want. Okay, I'll go for a very broad metaphysical question.
Sure. I'll do my best to help with the broad metaphysical question. What's on your mind?
What is the meaning of political life?
The meaning of political life is a complex and multifaceted issue that has been debated by philosophers, political scientists, and social theorists throughout history. At its core, political life is concerned with the organization and distribution of power in society, the creation and implementation of laws and policies, and the protection and promotion of the common good. Some argue that the meaning of political life is to create a just and equitable society, where all individuals have equal opportunities to pursue their goals and aspirations. This view emphasizes the importance of creating and maintaining political institutions and systems that prioritize the well-being of all members of society, rather than just a select few. Others argue that the meaning of political life is to maximize individual freedom and autonomy, allowing individuals to pursue their own goals and aspirations without undue interference from the state or other institutions. This view emphasizes the importance of limiting the power of the state in promoting individual rights and liberties. Still, others argue that the meaning of political life is to create and maintain a stable and orderly society, where individuals can live together in peace and security. This view emphasizes the importance of maintaining social order and stability, often through the use of authority and coercion.
So when I hear this, if I were to read an answer like this in a student's paper, immediately I would be suspicious. Yes. This is really the kind of answer a computer system would come up with. Yeah. But I mean, these are just things that are very general. It's kind of banal. I'm expecting that. It's not really answering the metaphysical question of like political life. Is it to enhance some sort of your human virtues or any?
I understand your concern. My previous response attempted to provide a general overview of the various perspectives on the meaning of political life.
He's arguing with you.
Yeah, he's arguing with me. Yeah.
Maybe you can ask some other questions related to political theory or society.
Yeah, okay, so let me ask him to make a... Okay.
I apologize if my previous answer did not fully address your question. If you have any further questions or would like me to...
Do you think Plato's conception of justice is better than Aristotle's conception of justice?
As an AI language model, I do not have personal opinions or beliefs, but I can provide an overview of the key differences between Plato's and Aristotle's conceptions of justice and some of the debates surrounding their ideas.
You can stop now.
Plato and Aristotle are two of the most important...
So this is the thing. This is the problem with the software. It cannot give you an opinion because it doesn't have an opinion. It doesn't have a sense of morality. It's unable by itself to make these sorts of assessment. It's only able to give you an overview, a summary of what has been written about, well, in this case, Plato or Aristotle. So in a way, it's very useful, but if you were to write a MA or a dissertation, a PhD dissertation, this is really not sufficient. You would need to explain why Plato's conception of justice is, in your view, better than Aristotle's, and you would have to go into details and get into the core of their philosophy. And obviously, this computer system is unable to do that. I see the limitation right there. And it's kind of what I said earlier. Mm-hmm. Answering that question requires you to have a sense of morality and be able to think about what is right, what is wrong, what is the true meaning of life. Software will never be able to have these sorts of emotions and this capacity to answer these questions. Good summary, yes, at best, but that's it.
Actually, we took one question from your assignment and asked it to GPT.
Okay.
And wanted to check how it could ask. So.
Which one?
I think it was the second. Is it fair to say that jus ad bellum category is a form of pacifism?
Yeah. So in this case, maybe before you ask the software to answer, again, it's not a question that requires you to have a sense of morality. If a good student would be able, simply by doing a good literature review, to answer that question very, very easily. Many authors who have written about the just war theory, they're explicitly talking about this point. It's one of the most important points of the just war theory. So this is, in itself, this is not a very difficult question for a student who's doing a good literature review, and because the answer can be found in the literature review, I'm sure ChatGPT will provide a very good answer to that question.
Actually, one concluding question to you. What would be your reaction if I would tell you that these questions were made by ChatGPT?
I didn't know that the ChatGPT could come up with questions.
Yes.
It can?
It can.
But how does it work? You need to tell the software,
yes,
give me questions about
yes,
just war theory and things like that?
And it can provide it. So some of them were taken from ChatGPT.
Okay. Yeah. So the second one, I'm sure, was taken from ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. First one, I'm less sure. Less sure about the first one. Third one, ChatGPT. Fourth one, no, human. Fifth one, could be. Sixth one, for sure, ChatGPT. Seventh one, yeah, ChatGPT. Eighth one, yeah, probably ChatGPT as well. Am I more or less right?
Yes, more or less.
It's just, the questions that, like, asking to make a moral judgment, these questions, I'm sure, were written by a human. Yeah. So it's a good thing, because if you're doing philosophy, political theory, people have always said, why would you study in philosophy or political theory? There's no job in this field.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, there is. It's a good subfield in political science. I don't think in the next 50 years, you'll never have your job terminated because of a software. This capacity will never be part of a computer system. Yeah. But can we try one question and see the answer?
Yes, of course. Yeah. You can go now.
First one. What are great examples of movies on duty of care in military?
An error occurred. If this issue persists, please contact us through our help center at help.openA.com.
Let's try again.
Yeah, let's try again. Maybe it's the internet.
Okay.
What are great examples of movies on duty of care in military?
Here are some examples of movies that deal with the duty of care in the military. A Few Good Men, 1992. This legal drama follows the trial of two U.S. Marines charged with the murder of a fellow Marine. The movie explores the duty of care that military leaders have for their subordinates and the consequences of failing to meet that duty. We Were Soldiers, 2002. This war film is based on the true story of the Battle of Ia Drang during the Vietnam War. It shows the challenges faced by soldiers on the front lines and the responsibility that military leaders have for the safety and well-being of their troops. The Hurt Locker, 2008. This intense war drama follows a bomb disposal team in Iraq and examines the psychological toll of combat on soldiers. It highlights the importance of proper training and equipment to ensure the safety of troops in dangerous situations. Zero Dark 30, 2012. This thriller tells the story of the decade-long hunt for Osama bin Laden and the intelligence operative.
Well, yes.
Yeah, okay, but I mean, yeah, of course, these movies are mentioned.
I'm glad you found the examples helpful.
I mean, these movies, yes, somehow they're discussing the duty of care, but again, it's general. It doesn't go into details, the extent, the limitations of this duty. So,
some ethical issues that
yes,
were concerned.
Yes. So, yeah. I mean, it's good. As I was saying, this is probably like when I was young and the calculators came, watches calculators. So, primary school, first year, second year, I had these friends. They asked for Christmas this type of watch, so they could do the calculation themselves during the exams. It was banned by the teacher. The logic at the time was you should be able to count on your own without using any calculator. And of course now everybody is using a calculator, and the logic is you could do it. You have the ability to do so, but it will just facilitate your life if you're using a calculator. So in the case of doing some sort of a summary of a very broad general political question, ChatGPT or any other software could allow you to write it very quickly, save time. But then the thing is, with the time you would be saving, my expectation is that you would take that time to do the readings, to think about the topic, and to come up with your own answer, your own solution, your own thesis. So in this sense, it allows you to save time, but it kind of also creates an obligation to use your time in a humane manner, and that will just allow your paper to be even better. So there's amazing possibility, but it comes with higher duty, bigger expectations, I think.
So thank you for your podcast, for your personal opinion regarding artificial intelligence. We talk about the impact of artificial intelligence and ChatGPT on the lives of people. So we were glad to have you here, and I hope we will make some future podcasts with you.
Sure, with pleasure.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's it. Bye.
Bye-bye.